Well, hello, my loves. Happy New Year. Hope you had a great time last night. Hope everybody stayed safe. No DUIs. No Coyote Ugly. Some of you will get that. Some of you won't. So I got Fredward with me. And he's wearing his Ghostbusters uniform because we're going to be doing 3 true stories. They're North Dakota stories. And they're ghost stories, paranormal. So we got his outfit on. There you go, buddy. Got his Ghostbusters outfit on. He's going to help us catch some ghosts. So, all right. Let's see here. North Dakota ghost stories. Frightening tales from North Dakota. There are some interestingly scary places in North Dakota. Faux show. I've seen some of them. Following is a sampling of some experiences related by local friends and neighbors. You may have heard some of these stories. If not, enjoy. If you dare. Okay, so this story is called Found Again at Urban Winery, and it is by Eric Vintner. This is his story. Okay, so there are loads of stories of downtown Minot, North Dakota being haunted. I was born in Minot. Why not Minot? Magic City. Probably because when this town was young, it was known as Little Chicago because of the crime, the drugs, gangs, violence. It led to a lot of people disappearing without a trace. True story. Happened in Minot, North Dakota. I had my own creepy experiences around town as I toured buildings for the urban winery location. I wasn't surprised they drifted into my business as well. I started remodeling right away, so obviously there were a lot of late nights when I was there all by myself. It was small things at first, like suddenly feeling overwhelmed by the feeling of being watched or doors opening and closing of their own accord, but nothing too bad. See, all those little things though, they may be little, but it's still enough to raise the hair on your body and give you goosebumps, right? Yeah. So, excuse me. Trying to be a responsible business owner, I eventually put up security cameras that would send me phone alerts when they detected movement. That's when things started to get a little bit eerie. Sometimes I would get text alerts of movement when nothing was in the picture. Probably a glitch, right? Maybe. But then the chairs started moving. From one text alert to another, they would get pushed in or pulled out when the place was completely empty. Then these glowing orbs started setting off the cameras, and that was enough for me to call some paranormal investigators to check out the space. They scrounged the place using cameras and EVP recorders. They captured the orbs that continuously set off my cameras. But when they investigated the basement, they picked up a man's deep voice saying, "Hello." And in a small room that allegedly used to lead to a tunnel, they picked up a woman's terrifying scream. That was about enough for me. I don't know every detail of the history of this place, but I'm sure, like all of downtown Minot, those that were never seen again back in the Little Chicago days in Minot, North Dakota, they're making themselves heard once again. So, very haunted. So for those of you who have been to Minot or live in Minot, if you have any stories you'd like to share with us, let me know in the comments, because I actually have a story from when I was a little girl. It was really fucking weird, but and still to this day, we have no idea who did it, but we lived in a house in Minot. It was a 2-story house. Me and my sister's bedroom was in the upstairs area. And when you walked out of the bedroom, there was a hallway there. And then there was a window that overlooked, down onto the yard and to the neighbors' houses and stuff like that. Well, I was looking out the window one night. It was super late. I was supposed to be in bed, but I think what I was doing is I was like peeking down the stairs trying to watch mom and dad's TV. I did that shit all the time. I'm sure a lot of other people did too. But I was looking out the window and I saw somebody walking from the neighbor's backyard over to where I could see them, right where the window kind of leaned over. And I was looking down. Well, it was somebody dressed in a Freddy Krueger outfit, hopefully. Or maybe it was Robert Englund himself. I don't know. But anyways, the person dressed in the outfit started throwing pebbles up at my window because obviously they spotted me staring out the window. And as a, what was I, 5, 6 year old little kid, I was scared shitless. Now, fast forward, I don't know, like 30 something years later. Yeah, I'm like 39. 30 something years later, and I absolutely love Freddy Krueger. He's my favorite. But I like all the old slasher villains, the whole gang. Love them all. Okay, our second short story for the night is called Man in Blue of Fort Lincoln. This story is by Dan Shelsky. The history of people who spent time at Fort Lincoln is so deep that there isn't one specific story that can tie back to the strange and eerie happenings here. Many people passed away under completely normal circumstances like disease or old age, but that hasn't led to any shortage of ghost stories. For me, the first was actually during the haunted fort that it happened. The sun was setting and the shadows of trees and people were starting to get really long. I drove back to the infantry post to make sure no one was wandering around or parked there. Not a person or car in sight. That was until I looked over my shoulder. It was like watching one of those old-time photos come to life. A man dressed in a full blue uniform, the exact same the infantrymen used to wear around here in the 1880s. He was walking straight for me. He had a rifle in his hand. He looked straight ahead at me with each step. I'm not sure if I was more thrown off by the convincing historical look of him, like no one from this time, or how he seemed to have come out of thin air from the infantry house. I was completely alone just 2 seconds ago, and all of a sudden, here's this ghost in uniform. Bone chilling. I had to look forward to realign myself on the road, and when I looked back, he was gone. We were in a wide open space, so where could he have gone in the time it takes me to turn my head? It left me feeling like I was crazy. Luckily, I had a witness for the next time. It was after a couple's dinner party that we hosted in the Custer House. The Custer House, most of us in North Dakota here had visited that in elementary school. We all took trips out there. Well, I'm old enough that I actually got to visit the Custer House when it was still the old one before they had remodeled it. And I, way back then, had chills and things I couldn't explain. Obviously, I was a little kid, so I didn't know. If they would have come out and say, oh, this place is haunted, I wouldn't have known what the hell they were talking about. But I just knew that when I was there, I felt off. I felt weird. Okay, so it's the place considered to be the most haunted around here in North Dakota, and we had just said goodbye to all of the visitors, and one of the other park rangers and I were just standing around. So there is a piano in the corner with a photo propped up on top of it. And right in the middle, it's a picture of Lieutenant Tom Custer, brother of George Custer. He lived in that old house as well. So I happened to be looking right at the photo when it suddenly flew off the side of the piano and hit the floor. That thing was nowhere near the edge of the piano, and no windows were open to blame a gust of wind. It's possible it could have fallen so aggressively of its own accord, but I doubt it. We both just looked at each other and asked, did that just really happen? No matter how many weird sounds are heard or dark figures are seen in windows, I'm still not one to believe in ghosts, but I have to admit there are a lot of things that happen around here that you just cannot explain. Right, Fredward? I think we need to go investigate. I really do. Okay. This is story number 3, and it's called Ghost Cop of Rugby. Rugby is like the center of North America, which is kind of a cool fact. I haven't been there since I was a kid. I have friends there. Little town. This is by Scooter Pursley. This is Scooter Pursley's ghost story. Okay. So it was a cold, starry, and moonless night back in 1989. I was on Highway 2 coming out of rugby at the end of a long week of 15-hour days at the Minot Daily News. I was coming around after covering the end of a basketball tournament. I was tired and in a hurry to get back to Minot to write the story. Afternoon papers permitted all-night writing if you wanted to. I didn't want to, so I sped up. Within a mile or so of leaving rugby, I saw flashing lights behind me. Playing it safe, I slowed down and hoped it was not after me. After another mile or so, I checked the mirror and there were no more lights of any kind behind me. Good to go, I thought, and I sped up. Moments later, I looked back in the mirror and right behind me was flashing lights in all their glory, and it was the cop. How? Where the hell did he come from? Too late to worry about it. I pulled over and he followed, and I got my license and registration out to present to the officer when he got to the door. With those in hand, I waited for the cop that never came. From the car that was no longer there. The lights that had pulled over after me were gone. Nothing was there, okay? I sped up for a third time and hurried through Towner, Granville, and Surrey. If I were going to be stopped again, it would be in Minot. That was my run-in with the ghost cop of rugby. Later on, I found out there was a police officer, that was killed in rugby back in the 1960s. Who knows? It could have been him. So if anybody else has any information on this ghost cop, let me know. I tried looking for some and I couldn't find a whole lot, not on rugby. My grandpa was actually a cop in Max, North Dakota, years and years and years ago, because I think he's been dead and gone since like 1989, I think, something like that. I can't remember the year, but anyways, he was a cop back in Max, North Dakota, and I heard the most fucked up stories back then. I don't think I got to meet that grandpa, but I was told stories about actual like alien invasion shit type stuff happening, which I would actually like to tell one of these times. My dad told it to me as a kid, and most of the time I thought he was just bullshitting me, but the fact that when my dad tells me the story, every time he gets goosebumps, he gets real stiff, and he gets tears in his eyes, I have a feeling that he's actually telling me the truth. So it's a pretty wicked story, I might say. Yeah. So those are the 3 ghost stories of North Dakota. That's all I had time for tonight. I'll try to do a better video next week Sunday. I'll have a little bit more time. Let me know what you would like me to research or do a video on. We could do paranormal. We could do true crime stories. You guys seem to really like the true crime. We could do top 5, top 10, whatever. We could do like weird facts, anything like that. So let me know in the comments what you would like to hear, and we'll go from there. This little guy, he'll be with me every step of the way. We're going to research together. He's also my music partner. So, I hope you all have the best week ever. It's the first week of the brand new year, so make it fucking special. Like you. You're special. And I love you. Okay, everybody have a good night. Sleep good. I love you. Night.